The perfect watch. Now I know this is hugely subjective, but after 500 days of wearing my Rolex Explorer II, is this the perfect watch for me? Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. My name is Shane Walls and I make my living as a fine art and nature photographer. Now, the perfect watch. The idea or what got me thinking about this was my recent video. I just put out a video about my watch journey. And it hit me during making this video that all my newer watches only last about a year or so. This Rolex Explorer II, yes, right side up. This Rolex Explorer II is my longest lasting watch. This has outlasted some of my G-Shocks. And again, this really got me thinking, is this the perfect watch for me? It ticks all the boxes. It's extremely tough. I put this thing through hell. This watch alone has probably been freezing temperatures, sub-zero temperatures, well over 50 or 60 days in sub-zero temperatures. And about the same, match that in extremely hot weather out in the desert, Death Valley, stuff like that. And it still works. Now, the most important thing to me in the perfect watch is accuracy. And if you haven't seen my other videos, I depend on my accuracy of my watch to time my exposures for my livelihood to capture images. And if this isn't extremely accurate, it does eat into my bottom line. Rolex certifies their movements to +2, -2 seconds per day. This Rolex Explorer II is running about a 1/4 second to a 1/2 second fast per day. Doesn't matter the conditions, sitting in the office, working in the office, or out in sub-zero temperature. This watch has been extremely accurate. So another box ticked for the perfect watch for me. Now I see it now. If you're going to the comments, perfection is relative. I know a perfect watch should have perfect time, day accurate, but we're using the loose definition of it because nothing is perfect. But I'm going to continue using perfect relatively. So now you know, so you don't have to comment about it. I know. Now onto the size of the Rolex Explorer II, reference number 226570. Sizing wise, it hasn't changed much from the predecessor, 216570, the older model. I personally like the size of it. It fits my 7-inch wrist very well. Rolex does claim though it's 42 millimeters. I actually read 42.45. So yeah, it's definitely a bigger watch. As I enjoy that size and heft on my wrist, it really makes it feel like I have a true tool watch on my wrist. Looks and appearance. Now this is extremely subjective, but these are my thoughts. I think this is absolutely a beautiful watch. Beautiful in the way that it looks like a true tool. And I really love the 24-hour machine bezel. It's getting romantic on this real quick. The machine bezel, I love it so much that they didn't switch to ceramic because it does take on scratches. As well as the durability the metal adds to this watch. It gives the watch a whole new dimension, I think, with the metal. Taking on scratches, just really those memories again implanted in the watch. The beautiful polar dial with the matte black hands and the gorgeous pop of the orange in the GMT hand and the Explorer text. Great looking watch. The polished sides, at first I didn't like those, but they have grown on me in the way that it could dress up the watch. And that goes on to the next thing about this watch, presence on the wrist. Now, for some people, me included, I could care less, it's a Rolex. I just wanted this watch because it's tough, it's durable, and one of my mentors, one of the photographers I worked with, had an older, the 40 millimeter Explorer II, and it was just beat to hell. He wore it everywhere. And ever since seeing that 10, 15 years ago, I knew I wanted an Explorer in my life. Just what it represented to him, it now represents to me. The whole idea about the presence on the wrist, I like it in the way that it's a Rolex, but I hate it in the way that it's a Rolex. The polar dial, I think, helps show that it's not quite so much a Rolex. People won't recognize, a lot of people don't recognize this as a Rolex because there's very, very few models in the Rolex lineup with a white dial. And the Rolex Explorer II is one of the least popular Rolex models, so it completely flies under the radar, which for me is absolutely perfect. I love that about this watch. The presence on the wrist for this watch, it makes it so you can wear this watch out in the middle of nowhere with a t-shirt on in 100 degrees out in the wilderness, just as well as you could wear it with a suit. That's the strongest thing about this watch. It's just as much at home in crazy sub-zero temperatures, up in the Eastern Sierras, up out in the wilderness, as well as just high-end gallery events, a nice dinner. It fits in both situations so well. Affordability and resale value. The perfect watch needs to be affordable as well as hold its value. And I think the Rolex Explorer II does that extremely well. Yes, it might be a little pricey at the beginning. I think they're going for about $9,700. But think about what you get for that. You get one of the most accurate, tough watches on the market, as well as a 5-year warranty and 10-year intervals between services. If you take care of this watch, I'm not talking about locking it in a safe and forgetting about it and only wearing it to a few events. No, wear it, beat the heck out of it, but do service it every 10 years. This watch will last the rest of your life. And I think that makes this watch affordable. As for resale, looking at it today, my model, the 226570, I can go sell this for $3,000 more than I paid for it. So it is a Rolex, it's holding its value, more so than really, and again, back to this watch can be worn anywhere. Very few watch brands can claim these stats. Want to breathe some new life into your home or office? Why not do it with some fine art nature photography? Through my exclusive fine art photography, I celebrate the beauty and grandeur of nature, but also the solitude and peace that I feel when I'm outdoors. Limited to only 18 prints per image, I use the best possible cameras when capturing that perfect moment in time, allowing for amazing image quality on any scale. Industry-leading printers with top quality materials to create these nature scenes as if you were there witnessing them for yourself. Check out my website for more information on these award-winning photographs. Collectibility. I think this Rolex Explorer II in the near future is going to become very collectible. Just in the way that I believe this is pretty much really the last true tool watch from Rolex. Rolex is going more kind of the jewelry way of watches. They're still making great watches. They'll still have tool functions to them. But as the last true tool watch, I think this is the only watch in the Rolex catalog, other than the Air King, that doesn't have a precious metal option. As well as for the 50th anniversary, that's a big anniversary for Rolex. They usually do amazing things. They changed the movement, which was great, but the looks of the watch didn't change at all. That leads me to believe I think this watch will be discontinued very soon, which will make it extremely collectible in the future. Also too, one of my art collectors works for Rolex, and we were having drinks a few weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure he dropped a hint that the Rolex Explorer II will be discontinued in the near future. Comfort. The perfect watch needs to be extremely comfortable. And this watch, the Rolex Explorer II, is extremely comfortable. This is the most comfortable metal bracelet I have ever worn out of any watch anywhere. It's extremely comfortable. I know it's there, but it is still comfortable. I can wear it all day. I can sleep with this on, so it's an extremely, extremely comfortable watch and bracelet. The history of the watch, and is it an iconic watch? I would have to say yes to both of those for the Rolex Explorer II. Given we'd probably need to share a little bit of that history with its brother, the Rolex Explorer I. But I do believe it's got a great history and it's an iconic watch in the way that, again, with its brother, the Explorer has done so much for the watchmaking world and just for Rolex in general. I think the Rolex Explorer II, can be linked to both of those and can share that history of being an iconic watch. Okay, let's finish up this video. I hope you don't mind. I poured myself one of Kentucky's best. finish out this video is the Rolex Explorer II, the perfect watch. Now, I've been thinking about this. How do I explain it? My friends and coworkers, colleagues have lovingly dubbed me a sophisticated redneck. And I get where they're coming from. I spend most of my time in a tent out in nature, photographing the beauty of nature. I get my hair cut once a year, which I apologize. I know it's completely out of control right now, but I understand it. But also, thinking about that, I think the Rolex Explorer II is kind of in that same camp. It's extremely sophisticated. It's a beautiful watch, beautifully engineered, but it's also got kind of its rough tool-like qualities, so to speak. And this might be a weak comparison, but I see it. I see this as a sophisticated redneck, this watch. And I absolutely love it. It's my favorite watch. It's my daily wear. I will never, ever, ever sell this watch. That all being said, it is not my perfect watch. It is so extremely close. We're talking 98% out of 100. To have this Rolex Explorer II be the perfect watch, and it's so simple and so small, is the metal bezel. Instead of the 24 hours on top, if it had an arrow and the bezel moved. That's it. If I had that with my Rolex Explorer II, this would be the ultimate perfect watch. It has everything else going for it, like we've talked throughout this video. Great watch. I just wish this metal bezel would move, because the only thing just to help me time, and I can do like the GMT Rolex, I could then manage more time zones, as well as what I really would like to do, use it as a timer, like a diving watch. I could turn the bezel to mark where it is when I'm hiking or whatever, how long my hike would be. So that's the only thing. Other than that, it is the perfect watch. It's an amazing watch. If you have one of these, if you're getting one of these, feel fortunate. Like I said, this watch I think will go down, maybe not will go down in history, that's a little strong, but it will be a benchmark, and it will be a very important watch in the Rolex catalog throughout history, and just an important watch in general throughout history. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up. Hit subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more videos here in the near future. We got this new setup here. We got some big travels coming up. So thank you again for watching. Cheers.